Hi everyone, I'm Miranda and welcome to my YouTube channel. It's Friday, which means it's time for tea reads, and my mum Donna is joining me on my YouTube channel.
Hello.
And today we're doing a Thanksgiving special. Happy Thanksgiving to all of my American followers.
Happy Thanksgiving.
I know it was actually Thanksgiving yesterday, but we thought it would still be fun to do a Thanksgiving inspired tea reads today. I'm excited about it.
I am too, and for all of you who aren't rushing around shopping, because isn't it Black Friday?
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
We don't really do that.
No,
do
we don't.
No, we're just having our, pumpkin no-bake cheesecake is what we're doing today. We want to do something a little bit different. No doubt you've already baked all your pumpkin and pecan pies.
Yes.
So I wanted to share this no-bake pumpkin cheesecake because I love no-bake cheesecakes.
Did you start that when you didn't have an oven, that you could just do things in
I
the
think
fridge?
so, yes. For a while when I was in London, I lived in such a tiny studio flat that there wasn't an oven in it at all, just a couple of hobs. And it was really hard actually to make desserts for when I had people round. But no-bake cheesecake was something I could do.
Yes.
So I think that's what started my love for them.
Yes.
And they are really easy,
Well, I
great.
used to always make a pumpkin cheesecake around this time of year when we lived in the States, and then, one of those things I haven't made for years, and I've forgotten, but it was definitely a baked one.
It was a baked one.
This sounds
it's very nice
to
too,
me.
but also, yes, I do love the ease
Easy.
of the no-bake. It's a great thing to prepare ahead of time because you just leave it in the fridge for hours.
Exactly.
You can pull it out then last minute, like dessert's already done. It's really off your mind if you do this, and that's the reason why I love it too. So yes, let's get started. We're making a ginger crumb crust to start.
Yes.
So we've banged up some ginger snaps.
Yes. Whacked them.
Yeah, and there's sugar in there and spices. As always, I'll link the recipe in the description box down below, so you can make it yourself if you want. This one is from a blog called Sally's Baking Blog, something like that, I think.
So, yes.
To check.
You told me about it.
Yeah, Sally's Baking Addiction. And it's one I've used before. Her recipes are always quite nice. So.
Do I just pour the melted butter straight
so
in?
pour the unsalted butter in that we've already melted. I'm going to stir all of that together.
Yeah, this will make the crust, won't it?
Yes, exactly.
It's quite a nice big size.
Yes, it does. I think this is it a 9-inch tin?
It is, yeah.
Yes, it is. So it is quite a good size.
Yeah.
We'll have to leave some on the doorstep of our neighbour.
Yes.
Well, we were originally, of course, going to do a proper Thanksgiving dinner.
And in fact, we'd invited her to join us.
Yes, we had, and she was really excited about it because she'd never been to a Thanksgiving dinner before. She's a British friend of ours.
Yes, and we're going to have turkey and all the trimmings,
yes,
as
we
it
were going
were.
to do the whole proper thing, but of course with COVID restrictions we can't.
No.
But never mind, she's going to get a bit of pumpkin
And we're going to have
cheesecake.
beef stew instead of actually any.
Well, that's what we had, wasn't it?
Yes, it was,
Yes.
and we've got leftovers too.
We did.
Yes,
So that's good. So not
Yeah.
too fancy in the end this year, but never mind.
No,
But we, of course, lived in North America for a long time. I mean, you lived in Canada as well as the USA.
Yes, yes.
I was born in Canada, but I lived for 10 years in California and New York mainly. And that's why Thanksgiving means something to us.
It does. What are your memories? Do you remember like the parties and Daddy watching it was a football game,
We would always
wasn't
watch
it?
Was there always a Thanksgiving game then?
Well, that's
Because it
my
wasn't on a
memory.
Sunday,
No, that's my memory. But I remember having loads of snacks.
There was always a Thanksgiving parade too.
There was. That was
watched on
fun.
TV.
Yes.
And I can't remember if there was football.
Macy's,
too.
I think.
I think I would have blanked that.
I think there definitely was.
Okay.
And I think because your dad supported the 49ers, and then I think, was it the New England Patriots or something?
I really
I don't know,
can't
but I do remember it was
really
always a bit
sporty.
angsty. Because whether they'd win or not, or usually not, is my memory, but we'll just get the rest of that out. But I do remember that we often had, of course, company, but also we really found, now that's a good tip, doing it
Yes, she says to really squash it in.
Good idea.
With,
fix it.
A measuring cup, because it's important to really pack the base in tightly.
That sounds lovely. That smells nice, actually. There's nice spices in there.
Yes, it's lovely. It does smell good. I mean, I have to say my main Thanksgiving memories are definitely food related.
Yes.
It probably surprises nobody.
I think it was a day that I did spend most of the day in the kitchen, probably along with most of us Thanksgiving.
And Christmas, you were always just in the kitchen, both those
But
days.
they were so fun. I loved to prepare the feast, and I think that was, the way of being, sort of making it fun for everybody. Good food, traditions was so important. Do you still like, I mean, we tend to have turkey at Thanksgiving if we can, and definitely not at Christmas.
No, we don't have turkey at Christmas, because generally
too soon,
there's not,
there's
there
usually two of us.
Yes, especially these
that turkey a lot, yes.
How do you think?
I think
a bit more?
Yeah, I think a little bit more. I'll press a bit.
Yes, now though, I mean, we often get turkey breast, don't we?
We do, or a crown, or
for
something.
Whole turkey, because we would be at it for weeks then, wouldn't we?
The only thing I miss is having the carcass to make the soup. It's so lovely always to have fresh turkey soup, afterwards.
But Friendsgiving has become quite a thing.
It has.
And I've had a few of those where I've invited sort of friends over in London and everything. And done a sort of Thanksgiving dinner. And that's been fun, especially when I was at university. There was a real international crowd of my friends and a lot of people from all around the world. And there will always be a few sort of Americans as well. So it was quite fun to bring everyone together over Thanksgiving.
I can imagine that. Well, I think that looks good now. Now, that's going to go in the freezer just to solidify.
Yes, it is. So I'll just pop this in the freezer and be right back. Okay, so I just popped the crust in the freezer for about 20 minutes or so while we prepared the filling. That will just set the crust
nice and firm.
Hopefully.
I must admit, I think our problem with European freezers, especially the sort we have, is it's very small. To get a 9-inch round thing in there took major juggling.
Yes, it's true. All right, so for the next part, we're going to whip the cream, I think.
Do you whip it with the sugar in it, or is it just the cream whipping? What do they say?
Let me have a look. So whip the cold heavy cream into stiff peaks on a medium-high speed. So just the cream, just the whipping. So we've got our KitchenAid here to do the heavy work.
This is great. This is one of your favourite type things, because you actually need both bowls. We've got 2 bowls for this KitchenAid. Miranda really enjoys the flexibility.
I do. You're never quite so sure about the KitchenAid, which I never understand why not. I love it.
It's great.
You always rather not use it, which I don't understand.
I think that must be a Luddite at heart. I would say medium high.
Yes. Okay, so we've been whipping. You can sort of see that it's formed stiff peaks. So now we're going to
just get this one out.
Yeah.
Do I turn it? Yeah, you're probably better than I am. Thank you.
There we go.
Yeah, well done.
So let's just set this aside and pop
the paddle one in now.
Yes.
I got that in right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we're going to put the new bowl.
So classy. It's always a bit exciting when we're KitchenAid.
Crack out the KitchenAid.
Yes.
All right,
Okay.
so what we do is we mix the cream cheese down. Let me just double check the recipe.
Lovely.
So yes, we beat the cream cheese on medium speed until perfectly smooth and creamy.
Okay.
So we'll pop that in.
To use that to just get it out.
Yeah.
Lovely.
There we go. And more beating.
Okay.
Okay, super.
We have had that at room temperature, that cream cheese, so that
we
would
have.
help.
It was
Yes.
quite soft already.
Yeah.
It didn't take too long. And now we add the pumpkin.
Okay, I'm going to just scrape it all down too.
Yeah. Here you go.
Yeah.
You have to let us know your favourite Thanksgiving dessert.
Yes, especially, I'm always curious because there's so many pies I haven't had, like sweet potato bourbon pie. I've always liked the sound of
that
that.
does sound good.
You
I've
got-
had sweet potato pie.
Yes,
I
yes.
don't think I've had a bourbon one.
No. What about when you
Nice.
were in Brooklyn with your dad?
Oh yes, we went to a pie shop there. I think it's called 4 and 20 Blackbirds.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, something like that. I'll link to it in the description box because they do the most amazing pies. I mean, something I really miss from the States are the pies.
Oh, yes.
They just do
Yes,
the best
they do.
pies. And I had cherry pie there in the summer, which was amazing. And Daddy had chocolate chess pie,
Oh, that sounds
which I'd
wonderful.
really like to make sometime. It was the best
Was
chocolate
it sort of
pie.
caramelly or how?
No, it was just really deep, rich chocolate.
Oh,
It
we
was
have
so
to make
good.
that. We'll have to find a recipe.
Yeah, well, I have the 4 and 20 Blackbirds cookbook.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
well
let's see
then.
if it's in there.
Yes, we better practice for next Thanksgiving.
Yes. All right, so
Yeah.
I've got in the
Lop all
pumpkin.
that from a can.
Yes.
Do you know, I love that. Really, when you use
Favourite.
cans, you always get this lovely orange colour. When I make it from real pumpkin for soup or something, it always looks sort of a palish yellow. It's never a satisfyingly orange.
Maybe don't like to think why this
Must
is
be
so
the-
orange.
must be
but-
the type of pumpkin. That's what I'm
we'll
saying.
tell ourselves.
Yes. Okay, so
All right,
we'll
so
put this
we've
up.
got, well, we can add also I think we can add all of it pretty
Oh,
much
right.
now.
Okay.
The vanilla extract.
Oh, add the pumpkin confections, sugar, and brown sugar.
Oh, right, thank you.
Yeah.
Here's the confectioner's sugar.
Right, let me lift it up again for you. So
Thanks.
separate. Oh, that's going to make it lovely.
Do you want to do a little bit of it first?
Oh, we can do. Let's get the
The
other
rest.
heavier sugar in there as well.
Yes. Otherwise we'll have a cloud of
Cloud.
icing
You won't
sugar
see me,
everywhere.
the icing sugar
Yes.
cloud.
Pop that in.
Yeah. Whoops, this one, isn't it?
Yeah.
There we go. Good job I
Lesson
got
in the
you.
KitchenAid.
Yes. I'll just put it on slow just so it doesn't go
Yeah.
whoosh everywhere. That's pretty good. I think you can.
Yeah, I'll add in the rest.
Yeah. It's a nice deep bowl, that helps as well. A little bit left there. Super. Shall I just turn it up a bit?
Yes, a little bit.
And I suppose we can put the spices in as well.
Yeah.
Lovely and spicy looking. Right. And now we're just getting it smooth.
Yes, we're just going to make sure it gets smooth.
I'll just turn it off while you do that. Get everything down.
Yeah, I'll scrape down the sides a bit.
Mm.
And then we'll just because it always doesn't mix so well right at the bottom.
No, that's true.
Too, so you always have to make sure.
To be fair, that is the same with them whenever you're mixing. I always think.
Yes, that's true. You need to be extra.
Do you know, you're perfectly matching with your cardigan.
Oh, they're colour coordinated.
Yes, colour coordination.
Wasn't that clever?
Yeah.
Okay.
Full steam ahead again.
Yeah. Off we go. Okay, how's that looking?
Not bad. Another stir around.
Yeah. You want to really make sure it's nice and smooth, don't you?
You do, no lumps of cream cheese. That always tends to want to lump a bit.
Yeah. It's looking pretty good.
Mm. Well,
this is definitely easier than a pie, I think, to do.
It
is quite quick even.
Yeah, and you're not having to have the oven on to cook it or anything. It's nice and easy, especially if you're cooking a whole bunch of other things in the oven.
Yes, and you can make it well ahead.
Yes.
I think she said you can keep this up to 2 days.
Oh, that's
in the
wonderful.
Fridge. Okay.
Yeah.
Another stir.
Yeah.
Okay, it's looking good.
Super. We'll take that right off.
It is always slightly tricky.
Glad it's not just me.
Especially on camera.
Yeah, normally you do that, no problem. Let's just scrape that off. Yeah. There we go.
But I do love a KitchenAid.
Well, it's such a lovely colour too. I love the look of it.
Yes, I remember I wanted one for ages.
You did.
And you got me this one Christmas.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I had my heart set on a pink one.
Yes, well thank goodness, because I think they don't.
I don't know. No, not in the UK anyway.
No.
You can't get them now. So I do treasure this one.
Yes. Well, it's one of those things I know that, like, it's you have it for sort of life, don't you? This type of thing. There we are, and now I think we fold in by hand.
We do.
The cream. Yeah. You just.
It definitely adds to the sense of drama in the kitchen.
So let's just scrape this down so that I've got everything well mixed, just to be sure. But it looks lovely, doesn't it?
It does. It smells really good too. I love that pumpkin-y smell.
It does.
But I love pumpkin in sweet dishes. It really is one of my favourite things. So if you've never tried it, don't be put off.
I remember the first one
delicious.
I ever had pumpkin pie was when I must have been 14. We went to Canada, or 15.
Oh yes. And
my dad's family, he was one of 10, and the aunts were all quite elderly, like perhaps not much older than me really, but I was 15, they seemed elderly. And I think, let's have a spoon for that.
Yeah, there's one
lovely.
there.
And I think, I don't know what went wrong with this first pumpkin pie I'd ever tasted, but it just tasted like soap. And I didn't know whether it was meant to, or if there was something wrong, or, oh my goodness. And
so this we just fold in.
Very, very gently. Yeah. So that was the first very unfortunate experience, and it took me a while to recover.
I couldn't believe that.
I think it was before the days of Starbucks, or pumpkin lattes, or the things we all love now.
Yes,
that's probably good. Thanks, honey.
Okay.
And I really think that I almost didn't ever make one, didn't ever try, and then I just thought, I'm going to make my own one day, and it actually was lovely. And I think maybe they were using some pumpkin pie filling rather than
Obviously not very
pumpkin.
successful.
And maybe
anyway.
hadn't washed a bowl properly or something, because it did taste like soap.
Oh no. Well, if it tastes like soap, it's not meant
No.
to.
I didn't know that though, did I? Seemed very polite. I was brought up, in fact, you just had everything and you didn't comment about the food. So I would never have dreamed of saying, is it meant to taste like this, of course.
No. Oh dear. Well, but you certainly got very good at making pumpkin pie.
Well, so much so that it was always your birthday request. So I had to get good at it. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely is one of my favourite things. But I also adore cheesecake, so combining the two together.
Yes.
And your baked cheesecake is very nice as well.
I do
I'll have
like
to do
that.
sometimes.
Yeah, I do like a baked cheesecake, but it's a little bit more, I don't know, they always crack and it doesn't look quite as pretty to me unless you cover it with something.
Yes.
At least mine always cracks. I don't know what I do wrong for mine. It tastes good.
It does. It always tastes very good. Yeah. So apparently, why you need to fold everything in very sort of gently and carefully is to keep the real volume.
Oh yes.
And it will make a kind of moussey sort of texture.
That sounds
Which should be
wonderful,
good.
doesn't it?
Yes.
I'll try and be very light.
I think it's looking good.
It is.
Yeah. It makes quite a big mixture, doesn't it? I suppose it is a fairly decent sized pie.
It is. 9 inches is quite.
Yes.
It's a good size for friends too. I think we'll definitely be passing this one
Yes.
around.
Yes.
Leaving it on doorsteps.
Yes. A couple neighbours who
Yes.
fortunately seem to appreciate
They do.
our sweet
That's what they
treats.
tell us anyway.
It's a good thing.
Well, what do you think? Is that about ready now?
Almost, maybe just a little bit more.
Okay.
It's difficult because you don't want to over.
No, but it's not a
Stir
souffle,
it,
is it? So I think we can take the risk. We don't want any white bits in it either.
No, we don't. It's looking nice.
You're less matching it now. Now
Yeah.
we've added that.
The cream in.
Yes.
It still is a pretty colour though, isn't
It is. It's lovely.
Yeah. And I love the taste of ginger snap biscuits as well. I think that ginger with the pumpkin-y, creamy
Perfect,
filling
isn't it?
will go really well. It would be lovely.
Yes, that's true. When you make a pumpkin pie, you never get the sort of ginger paste. Or at least I've never put ginger in the pastry.
No,
And
I
so
haven't either.
It's not perhaps quite the same. This sounds absolutely blissful to me.
Yes.
There, I think this is probably ready to go into the...
Wonderful. Well, I'm going to get the tin now,
Yes.
and the crust hopefully will have set in the freezer in the time. So be right back. Okay, so I've got it out of the freezer. It's really cold.
Yes.
And it looks really set now, which is great. So then we just pile it in.
Pile it in, all right. Good.
This does look lovely.
I'll give you the job with the spatula to smooth it out.
Yeah.
Try to
You've got
get it all in first, I guess.
Such a pretty colour, actually.
It really is.
Yeah, this looks really nice.
Aesthetically, this is tremendously pleasing.
Yes, it is. Definitely a nice Thanksgiving dessert, I think.
It is, and I think if we have something like some caramel sauce and whipped cream
that
to
would
go
be
on
good.
top,
That would be good.
that will make it extra.
I don't know if we have caramel sauce.
Well, I have a look. I think I might have a jar.
Ooh.
I'm not going to make any.
No, it's a right pain to make that, isn't it?
It is,
I
especially
find it
salted
a pain.
one, which I really like.
Yes, but it's a bit of a faff making it.
And they do make very good jars of
They
it.
do. So why not? I feel like Ina would approve.
Yes.
And Nigella.
Definitely. If not, the whipped cream was a bit of I saved some of the base. So that
Yes,
we can always
then you
sprinkle
can
it,
just sprinkle
can't we?
it on top too, which is a really good idea. I think
Looks
that works
pretty as well.
It does look pretty. Wonderful. But yeah, do let us know what you make if you celebrate Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
you do pumpkin pie or pecan pie or apple pie or some other kind of pie.
Chess pie. We want to know all about chess pie.
I think that's what it was called anyway.
I've heard of that, actually.
Yeah.
Some of them, I remember raisin pie, they used to call funeral pie because it was often brought over
Really?
for funerals. I suppose it was one of the fruits people always had at hand.
I suppose so.
Yeah.
Nigella has a recipe inspired by one she ate in the States, I think, called girdle buster pie. That's such a good name.
It is. There, that's done.
I'm just going to smooth it out in here.
Yeah.
It's a very luscious filling.
It is.
And I think you've kept the volume beautifully.
Oh, good. Good. And then is it about an hour or so in the fridge?
Oh, much longer than that. At least 8 hours in the fridge.
Okay.
So we're going to be cutting into it tomorrow.
Yes, that's true.
Yes. Or a bit later anyway.
Well, I think we'll leave it overnight. That way it'll be good and firm, maybe.
Yes, exactly. And this is looking really good. But you're going to get to see us eat it almost instantaneously.
Yes, that's why you don't have to wait 8 hours.
You won't have to wait 8 hours to see the results of this.
Yes. The proof, as they say, is in the eating, but it does look lovely.
That's right.
It's also, don't you think it's a
more?
little bit lighter than a traditional pumpkin cheesecake or
Yes.
pumpkin pie? Because
I think there is a lightness to no-bake cheesecake,
Yeah.
which I like. Speaking of Nigella, she does a really good one in Nigelissima. I think it's a hazelnut and chocolate no-bake cheesecake, but it's basically a tub of Nutella.
Oh, how could you go wrong?
I know, put in with the cream cheese and then you sprinkle sort of chopped hazelnuts on top. But it's delicious.
Oh yes, that sounds amazing.
Yes, so I recommend that one too. But this is a nice Thanksgiving version, yeah.
How does that look?
That looks really good.
Good. Okay.
Brilliant. Okay, so we're going to pop this in the fridge.
Yeah.
But we'll see you later and we get to dive in.
Definitely.
See you then.
Bye.
And we're back. The cheesecake has set, the fire is lit, and we're ready to have a lovely Thanksgiving tea time.
Exactly.
Shall we try the cake? Or the cheesecake?
Yes,
I
the
should say.
cheesecake. Let's. It smells delicious. It really
does. It does. It's definitely not as clean cutting.
No,
but
never mind.
Regular cheesecake, but. I have to say, it tastes amazing.
Oh, it really does. We've got a little bit of salted caramel.
Yes,
For the
from
top.
a jar from M&S.
Yes, good old Marks.
Yeah. And that works really well.
Delicious.
It tastes so good.
We'll be sharing this
Yeah,
with
I'll
our
share.
neighbours, I'm sure.
I'll show it to you.
I think the thing is, don't attempt to take it off the base.
No, we kept the base from the tin on because it would be a nightmare trying to take it off. I mean, you can see it's definitely a bit harder to cut.
Yeah,
But
I would put it in the freezer for a bit if I was doing it
I
another
think
time.
you could do it straight from the freezer.
That's
almost,
half an
couldn't
hour
you?
in the freezer,
Half
be
an
nice
hour
and
in the
firm
freezer
then.
to firm it up, then just whip it out and cut it. But the flavour's so good.
And it
I
tastes
love it.
wonderful.
It does.
Happy Thanksgiving
Yes.
again.
Happy Thanksgiving again.
Yeah.
So what are you thankful for this year?
Wow. what a difference a year makes.
Doesn't it just?
I mean, I've gone through a redundancy this year.
Yeah.
I've recovered from, fortunately, a small minor surgery at the end of last year.
Yeah.
We've moved and everything. There were times when I must admit, it's been a tough year. We were sort of very anxious about many things, but things I think have totally gone the right way for us. This move was a real risk in terms of, we didn't really know what we were coming to, and I'm so happy. I love it in Yorkshire.
Yes, yes, me too. Definitely thankful for Yorkshire.
Yeah, and of course I'm always thankful for my dear girl and for actually being invited to come on this with you. It has been absolutely an amazing experience for me, and I must say I'm led all the way by Miranda, who helps me all the time.
Well, you're the best partner though. I'm really thankful to have you to share this with. And of course I'm so thankful for our health this year, that we've kept healthy and all of our loved ones have as well.
And even our dear friend who did get COVID only got it very mildly. So we're just
really
so
grateful for that.
Yeah.
Really grateful. But yes, I'm so thankful for this move too.
Are you?
To a lovely new home.
Yeah.
And I love Yorkshire. It's such a beautiful place to be. I'm so excited for when we can explore it a bit more, once we can travel again, and how thankful we will all be when travel comes back. It's certainly been a lesson in not taking things for granted this year.
That's for sure.
A lot. And I'm so grateful to my YouTube followers too. I'm so thankful. It was a year ago I started YouTube, last November. And a lot of things interrupted it.
Yes.
But I'm so thankful I started it, and I've been really enjoying, and thank you to everyone who has left lovely, supportive, encouraging comments.
Very, very grateful.
I'm really grateful for them. So yes, lots to be thankful for this year.
Very much.
Anyway, we've chosen some
readings,
as always too, that help us to celebrate Thanksgiving. Shall I go first?
You go first, honey. You go first,
okay. So one I wanted to share is from this lovely memoir called Always Home, A Daughter's Recipes and Stories by Fanny Singer. And Fanny Singer is the daughter of Alice Waters, the famous chef and restaurateur of Chez Panisse. And I've been reading this memoir sort of slowly, and there's a lovely bit about Thanksgiving. This is a wonderful ode to mothers and daughters as well, which is partly why it's special.
I'm sure I'd really enjoy this one too.
You would really enjoy it. But there's a very funny bit where Fanny is actually in London for Thanksgiving. So she's having to make Thanksgiving away from home. But her friend Claire Patak, who's the founder of Violet Bakery in London, which we know and love.
Yes.
We went so many times. I've had birthday cakes from there when we were living in London. I think I first went 15 years ago or something. I mean, ages. Claire Patak is also American, and she used to work for Chez Panisse, which I never knew. No, but of course she did the royal wedding cake for Harry and Meghan.
She did.
Which was amazing. So this is Claire and Fanny's London Thanksgiving. Claire and I took it upon ourselves to make a proper Thanksgiving dinner in London. She naturally would be in charge of all things sweet. I, for the most part, would oversee savoury. We quickly learned that England is not set up to accommodate this American festive occasion, which comes a month before most families expect to provision with a turkey for Christmas. We had to call poultry farms directly and beg them to fatten at least one bird, just a touch more expediently, make pleas to specialty butchers around town, try to bribe chefs. We had to scour London for things like fresh cranberries, super ripe parmesans, and American-style baking pumpkins. We invited any Americans we knew, but always had a disproportionate number of baffled Brits present, who, though accustomed to large feasts at Christmas, had never experienced anything on the scale of Thanksgiving. Oh my! But there are so many different dishes. marshmallows with sweet potatoes. This part of the dinner population was also inordinately aggrieved by our sing for your supper tradition, in which, being native Californians, Claire and I would insist that each person at the table tap into their inner gratitude practice and say aloud one thing that they were especially thankful for. Over the years, Claire and I produced Thanksgiving in England, for it truly is a production. Dinners were held in a diverse array of settings, including 2 different flats in London, a funky shared house in Cambridge, and a couple of different rental cottages in Cornwall, but always with a healthy group of friends who'd come to recognise the superiority of the holiday. What remained constant, aside from Claire's assiduous menu planning and ingredient lists, God bless her Shapenese training, was our dedication to brining the turkey after my mother's trusted method. Because refrigerators, and in general any appliances requiring electricity, are often comically small in Europe, don't we know it? There was no way to get an immense turkey inside an even more immense liquid-filled bucket into the fridge. Most years it was cold enough to leave the turkey outside for a few days in its seasoned bath. To accomplish this, a new plastic trash can would be purchased from a local hardware store to serve as a brining receptacle. My mum would have died. One year, however, the year we were in Cambridge, the weather was unseasonably mild. Not exactly hot, but definitely not cold. Claire and I considered alternatives, but the turkey had already been purchased, and no one we knew, short of professional chefs back in London, was in possession of an adequately commodious refrigerator. So we added a bit of extra salt to the brine recipe, swore we'd cook the hell out of the turkey, crossed our fingers, and left it outside. Come Thanksgiving morning, I went to retrieve the bird, only to discover that in the non-frigid temperatures, it had discharged some variety of gelatinous substance, transforming the liquid into an exceptionally vicious alien goo. I did what every great chef would do. I took that bird out, rinsed it right off, and popped it in the oven, then lugged that goo-filled trash can down the street to pour its contents down a municipal drain. The turkey was delicious, and gratefully, no one fell ill.
That's wonderful. Well, we've had the same problems with that big chicken.
Yes. Yes. And I just loved that description of expat Thanksgiving.
Yes. Yes.
That struck a lot of chords.
Yes, trying to find the pumpkin is one that I've gone through.
And then I had to share a favourite from this wonderful book by Gladys Tabor. It's called Stillmeadow Sampler. And Gladys Tabor, you introduced me to.
Yes.
She wrote about life in New England and her beautiful old sort of country house that she lived in.
Stillmeadow, yeah.
Exactly. And just it's full of charming anecdotes about food and life in New England. And I had to share this description of Thanksgiving and of all of the nostalgia that Thanksgiving brings. Yeah. But when I was growing up, the feast itself was more important. We never tasted turkey except at Thanksgiving. That was what turkey was meant for. We dreamed of it, rich, brown, savoury with chestnut stuffing. The quivering cranberry sauce was only for Thanksgiving too. And oh, the giblet gravy and the glazed onions and fluffy mashed turnips. Turkey for Thanksgiving was as special as the orange in the toe of the stocking at Christmas. The onions and mashed potatoes, the pumpkin and mince pies were traditional. The turnips were beaten to a fluff, dressed with melted butter, salt and pepper. I do not know whether the Thanksgiving menu was what it was because of trying to copy the Pilgrim's first one, or whether we just had what was available. But how good it all was. Now the younger members of my family simply loathe turnips and squash. So one year I substituted their favourite peas with mushrooms. "Oh, Mama," cried my daughter in anguish, "it has to be turnips for Thanksgiving." They were all outraged. They said I couldn't go around changing Thanksgiving for goodness sake. So I went back to the big bowl of turnips, which they do not eat. They were satisfied emotionally anyway. I myself dislike change, so I understand their feeling. We only had oyster dressing once because oysters were for stew in the little town where I grew up. Chestnuts were for dressing, and many a blister have I acquired while perched on a stool beside Mama, helping get the shelves off those intractable nuts. Often Mama made a simple stuffing with onion, celery, toasted or dried breadcrumbs, melted butter, sage seasonings. After all, a properly roasted turkey imparts its own flavour to the dressing, and the dressing should be delicately moist, not dry, but not gluey as so many stuffings are. It should never lump up in a ball on the plate, but fork easily. Cranberry sauce, of course. We now use it year round, enjoying the dark, tangy flavour with roast lamb or baked chicken or grilled chops. I do not think it fits with roast beef or steak, but I have no idea why. But even though we use it constantly, it still seems special on the Thanksgiving table. After grace is said, there is always a moment of silence at our table. What grave thoughts go through the minds of the younger folk I shall never know, but they have a quiet look. I think of all the Thanksgivings past and of all the hopes for the future. Then the carving knife makes the first slice, and yes, the turkey is exactly done, tender, moist, rich. And pass the giblet gravy at once.
Oh, that is lovely,
yes,
isn't it?
I think she wrote this in the sort of 1950s.
Yes.
But I just thought it's such a lovely description of a Thanksgiving meal, and how I think especially with traditional holiday meals like that, you do always want the same dishes, even if you don't like them. You still have to have them somehow.
Exactly. I mean, look at how with your dad's family, I remember at Christmas, they always have this thing called Auntie Mabel's salad, which I think is like sort of marshmallows and
very odd.
It's very odd, but it is a bit traditional.
It is.
For the prairies. And
yes.
I think because my own father was born in Saskatchewan, and because he was the child of Russian German immigrants who went to Canada at the turn of the century. I have a fascination with pioneer literature and things like that, and that's gone into my choice.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes.
Well, of course, Canadian Thanksgiving is a different date.
It is in October, which we all know. But they do celebrate it somewhat similarly. But this is actually from North Dakota, and it's a Norwegian family.
Oh.
So I thought you would really enjoy, because they're visiting their Swedish friends.
So we have Norwegian ancestors on
do.
my dad's side.
Yes, very much so.
Yes.
Now we were gathered around the dining room table again. This is in the evening after the feast at 1:30. Everyone relaxed and happy in the glow of evening. Our supper was basically a cult board, a cold table, with two kinds of cold sliced meat, one a spicy beef roll called rullpulse, and the other a rather bland pressed pork roll, silter, which was especially good with pickled beets. We also had potato salad and two kinds of bread, rågbröd, a Swedish rye redolent of orange, and a crusty cinnamon raisin bread, along with another chance at all of the preserves and relishes. The unforgettable part of the supper, one that I would dream about from one holiday to the next, was a glorious apple salad in a magnificent cut glass bowl that was deeply scalloped around the edge. Chopped apples and whole marshmallows were folded into mountains of whipped cream, and the peaks were sprinkled with almonds. I thought it was the most beautiful sight I had ever seen. It tasted and looked the way I imagined manna from heaven. For dessert, there was sponge cake sprinkled with confectioner's sugar, and the remainder of the chocolate ice cream. I decided I like Thanksgiving suppers the best of all.
That's lovely. And did you say that was after the main?
Afterward, which is enormous. I can't tell you how big it is. And in those days, they sort of went for the day because it was such a... And men had to go back to milk the cows.
Yes.
But the women all stayed there with the children. And they actually get home. They drive back around midnight. And they see in North Dakota the... Aurora Borealis, because it's sort of the Northern Lights, because it's spectacular in the prairies there. So I think it's the most wonderful special chapter, and I love this book. It's Nothing to Do But Stay, My Pioneer Mother, and it's by Carrie Young. And I've also got here her cookbook called Prairie Cooks, Glorified Rice, 3-Day Buns, and Other Reminiscences, by Carrie Young with Felicity Young. And she does include in this the recipe for that apple salad.
That sounds very good.
Yes, and I'm amazed to see that it does indeed have 16 large marshmallows halved and 1 cup of well-drained pineapple tidbits, as well as the apples and the almonds and the chilled whipping cream and sugar.
So not like a fruit salad.
You know, I think things must have been so drab in those days, so often. And the joy you find in books like this about the colours and the glimmering lights that they use special gas light instead of the normal kerosene lamps.
Beautiful cut glass.
Yes, and how much it meant. I think I have memories from my own childhood of always the trifle bowl, the beautiful glass, big cut glass trifle
came
bowl.
out for special occasions.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's very common. And then the other one I wanted to read from is another American book called The Country Kitchen, a classic of cookery literature, and it's by Della Lutes. And there's a lovely little description here of their table at Thanksgiving. So, in the buttery were the pumpkin pies that had been baked earlier in the morning, the ruffled edges of their biscuit brown crusts encircling smooth plaques of yellow custard coated with a thin, almost transparent veil of dappled russet and bronze. From these were exhaled a moist, flavoursome odour reminiscent of autumn days when the lusty vine strewed its golden fruit wantonly against the corn, mingled with the spicy fragrance of cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, and allspice. Alongside there were the mince pies baked a week earlier, stored in cold and now brought out to be warmed at the last moment on the oven top. Marked with an M they were, and through the delicate tracery of the letter one caught tantalising whiffs of meat preserved in heavenly juices, apple, currant and raisin, all welded into one sweetly tart aroma, itself bathed in the effusiant bouquet of rich old brandy, such aroma as the Olympian gods may have dreamed of but never met. Here too, arranged in glass sauce dishes, pickle dishes, preserve dishes that were the possessions of but ordinary women, but were now elevated to the high estate of the rare, were pickled peaches with the pointed ears of cloves dotting their amber sides, mustard pickles to neutralize the too rich content of the young pork, bowls of crimson cranberry sauce, globulars of currant jelly for those who did not favour the fruit of the bog, long green sections of cucumber pickle standing upright in the crystal dish, swinging censer-like in its silver frame, with hanging fork beside.
That's lovely. And isn't that interesting? Gladys Taber mentions mince pies.
Yes.
For Thanksgiving too. But they obviously had meat. They're not like the type of mince pies we eat here now. Although the traditional
would have been made with
meat as well here too. But I don't think nowadays for Thanksgiving you eat mince pies, do you?
It was more pumpkin, pecan, maybe apple.
Yes.
But obviously in these times, mince was very traditional,
which is interesting.
It really
I feel like
is.
maybe that's fallen out with fashion.
Yeah.
But let us know if you make some kind of mince pies for Thanksgiving.
We'd love to know.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yes.
I can't wait to have another little bit of this. I think it's so good.
Well, it's hitting the spot, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But this has been so much fun.
It has.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope if you celebrate Thanksgiving, you had a really lovely one. We'll be back next Friday for another Tea Reads. And I'll be back before then with more bookish videos. But do give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And you can subscribe to my channel by clicking on my face. It pops up on the screen. But we'll be back again soon. Goodbye.
Goodbye.